Welcome. We're so glad to have so many of you here for our COABE session 2 today. And we encourage you to turn on your cameras because it's better for the presenter if they can see some people and they're not just talking to the void. So if possible, please turn on your camera. But we're excited to have you here today, and we're really excited to have Shari and Julie here, who are from Caldwell Community College, where Shari is the director of Transitional Studies, and Julie is I don't think I'm gonna remember her title, the Adult Career Readiness Coordinator.
Perfect.
And she does everything. They both are old family literacy teachers, and that's where their first love is. But we're glad to have them here. This is actually something that they learned at COABE 2024. And they were prepared to give this last year, and then Helene happened. So it just didn't work out. They were too busy dealing with the destruction to do this last year. So we're really excited that they were willing to do it this year because it's a really good presentation. I think you're going to really enjoy it. And I do have to say that I have had very little to do with this. This is all Shari and Julie, and Lee has had some meetings with them to discuss what they're going to do today. But Lee and I are really busy at the system office these days, so we're having to divide and conquer. So
as
welcome.
best as we can.
And Shari and Julie, you take it away.
All right. Welcome, everyone. We're going to talk about growing an effective team while fostering a compassionate workplace. And thank you for being here. We're going to spend some time together exploring something that affects every single one of us in adult education. And it's how we build effective teams while creating workspaces where people genuinely want to show up every day. So this presentation draws from two excellent sessions that we attended at the 2024 COABE Conference in Nashville. The first one focused on understanding our individual strengths and how they contribute to team success. The second one addressed something that many of us are facing right now, the difference between being nice and being kind, and how that distinction can help us avoid burnout. When we get team dynamics right, everything else becomes more manageable. So by the end of the session, you'll have practical strategies that you can implement immediately with your own teams. So we're going to look at the characteristics that make teams truly effective, not just functional. There's a big difference. The process starts with making team building an actual priority and not something that we just want to squeeze in when everything else is done. So it requires everyone to get together a collective decision from leadership and from your team members. Then you choose a resource to guide your work. And then what I wanted to talk about, I wanted to show, can you guys see this?
We can.
This is the book that they talked about. I'm going to say that this book was very dry. The information was fabulous. The information which I'm going to go over with you was really good, and we did use it and we got a lot out of it. But to read it from cover to cover wasn't exciting. So it's the Six Types of Working Genius by Patrick Lencioni. And the key is to scheduling some dedicated time to explore the resource together, take the assessments, and then examine the results as a team. So this isn't a one and done activity. It's an ongoing conversation about how we work together most effectively as a team. So the first thing that we're going to do before we go any further is we're going to pause here and take a moment to think about your current team. What words would you use to describe an effective team? What characteristics actually make teams work well in the real world of adult education, where we're juggling multiple funding sources, diverse student needs, and constant changes? So if you'll use this QR code and take a couple minutes and put your words in there. All right, we need to go to what we did. Where's the there it is. And now can we need to hit present? But there's top right toy button. Okay. So there's a code in there also that you can use if the QR code didn't work. There's a code up at the top, the numbers.
Yeah, I think the code sent us to a different Mentimeter, so maybe we or sorry, the QR code, yeah, sent us to a different Mentimeter. But yeah, let me try it with the regular code.
It sent me to the right Mentimeter.
It did? Okay.
Except my word didn't show up.
Same here.
Oh, yay! It has a word in. Synchronize, that's a cool one. So whose was that? Whose did it work for?
Hi, this is Eric Russ. I'm having to do this on my phone because I can't get the Zoom to work on my computer. But I'm at Wake Tech and I put synchronized on there.
Okay, that's wonderful and flexible.
Mine
Great.
says it's waiting for the presenter to change slides.
No, I did, Lisa. I went to the code and it's
Yeah, that's what
working.
I'm saying. Yeah, it's the
Okay.
So
QR
they
code.
were
I think
different.
sent
I'm
us
so
different.
sorry.
Yeah, yeah.
The one
Not a
that the
problem.
QR code let you put in 3 words.
The code's not even working for me.
I'll just observe.
Yay, we love
The
technology.
troublemaker is also at Caldwell.
Yeah.
Megan.
I've already even been through this. I thought I had great words. I put them in.
Well, put them in again.
All right, well, we're gonna go with this. Oh, there's some more safe. That is wonderful. You'll see that come up. Actually, all of these words will come up again as we go through the presentation. Non-judgmental. That's great. Oh, there are coming up. Confidence in one another. Wonderful. Well, thank you for working with us with it.
Yeah, thanks for bearing with us. That was awesome. Thank you.
Okay, so
That's at the top left.
Where's the fix? Okay,
Back to
back to the PowerPoint and start with
slideshow.
from.
You're on word cloud.
How do I start from this? From current slide. Okay, sorry about
All right.
that.
Not a problem.
Okay. All right, so we'll keep these words in mind as we look at what the research says. So we're going to find out what does Forbes say about an effective team. And this was put out in 2020. And Forbes identified 16 characteristics of effective teams. And I want you to notice something that's really important. These aren't just about getting work done. Look at the list: equity and inclusion, psychological safety, respect and trust. These are about how people feel and how they're treated. And this is actually what came up in your in the Mentimeter, which is fabulous. So you're already thinking in that direction. So in adult education, we talk constantly about creating safe learning environments for our students. We know that adults who have had negative experiences need to feel respected and psychologically safe before they can learn. And the same is true for us as professionals. So notice that healthy conflict is on the list, not the absence of conflict. This is especially important in adult education where we serve diverse populations that have different needs. So the third section addresses adaptability and flexibility. And these are qualities that we need in abundance given how frequently our funding, regulations, and student populations change. Just this year, how many of us have had to adapt to sudden changes? We have funding, no, we don't. Yes, we have funding, no, we don't. So do you guys feel like that? All right, so we're going to go into the leader's role. And here's where leadership becomes crucial. I want to emphasize that leadership isn't just the director or the coordinator. Many of you in this room are leaders, whether it is in your title or not. The leader's role is to create a culture where differences are seen as assets, not obstacles. Think about it in the context of adult education. We celebrate when students bring diverse perspectives and experiences to our classrooms. We need to do the same with our colleagues. Cross-training for us gives great opportunities to let different talents emerge. I don't know if you all do that, but we definitely cross-train. When someone comes in, they go into all of the classrooms and they see what we do in all of the different programming areas. Feedback and celebration matter. We're often so focused on student success that we forget to acknowledge our own team's contributions. The practical steps for a leader, these practical steps might sound simple, but they're often overlooked in the daily demands of running our programs. So the first one is assess the talents on your team. Aligning tasks with strengths is about more than efficiency. It's about the job satisfaction. When people work in the areas of strength, they're more engaged and less likely to experience the burnout that we see. The last point celebrates wins, big and small. This is something that we need to be intentional about. In adult education, we celebrate when a student passes one high school equivalency test, and we need to do the same with our teams. So like for us, when someone passes one high school equivalency test, we have them ring this bell at the front desk and everyone claps for them. So we need to have that same mentality for our teams. Now we're going to talk about our team at Caldwell Community College. So our team, our leadership team consists of myself, Julie, who's the Adult Career Readiness Coordinator, our Adult Basic Skills Coordinator, who's Megan, she is on the call also, our LEIS Coordinator, we have 2 front desk admin assistants, and we have an Adult Secondary Education Coordinator, and lastly, we have a Transitional Studies Navigator. Now, some of those positions are full-time and some of them are part-time. Everyone's perspective matters in team building. That's why we have a wide variety of people in our leadership team. So we planned a summer retreat, which I know can feel like a luxury when you're overstaffed and overworked, but consider this an investment, not an expense. The results that we achieved, we'll see later, came directly from this dedicated time that we spent over the summer. The retreat started by addressing fundamental questions of why teams matter in the first place. Strong teams accomplish more than individuals. We all know this intellectually, but the real power comes from the collaboration that fuels innovation and problem solving. The key insight is that every member has unique strengths that make the whole stronger. On the right side, you'll see why individual talents matter. Each person brings distinct skills, perspectives, and experiences. When we ignore individual talents, we're wasting potential. Think about your own team. Are there people whose talents you're not fully utilizing? When people work in their areas of strength, measurable outcomes improve. During our retreat, we explored Lencioni's framework of the 6 types of working genius, and I'm going to explain each one of them briefly, and you'll see them on the PowerPoint there. So when you have someone who wonders, these are people who ponder the possibilities and ask what-if questions. They're the dreamers who see potential everywhere. In invention, these are the folks who generate new ideas and creative solutions. They take the what if and they turn it into what about this? Discernment, these are the team members who provide guidance and feedback. They have strong instincts about what will work and what won't. Galvanizing, these are people who bring energy and movement to projects. They rally others and create momentum. And I'm sure while I'm talking about this, you're thinking about people on your team who do these specific things. Enablement, and this is not the negative form. When I first saw that, I thought of enabling that everyone thinks about. You're enabling that person. These individuals provide encouragement and support, and they help others succeed. And then tenacity. These team members push through obstacles and ensure that projects reach completion. So here's what's important. Everyone has 2 areas of genius where they thrive, 2 areas of competency where they can function, and 2 areas of frustration where work drains them. And again, you're probably thinking of yourself and thinking of those areas about yourself. On the right, we see the benefits of strength-based approach. Higher performance, greater job satisfaction, stronger collaboration, and lower turnover. So now let's watch this video together. We'll watch only the first 3 minutes. It does an excellent job of illustrating how these different types of geniuses work together. The video uses the metaphor of widgets being produced. You'll see how each type of genius contributes to the process. It makes the abstract concepts become more concrete for you. So we're going to go ahead and play the video and we'll stop it.
I recently read The 6 Types of Working Genius with Patrick Lindsay. The team you work with is full of geniuses. If you give a teammate work that aligns with their innate genius type, they'll not only be more productive, but they'll also love what they do and remain loyal to your team. However, if you give them tasks that don't align with their genius type, they'll be on the fast track to burnout. Your job as a leader is to discover people's working genius types and then give them one that turns their genius on. You see, most people excel at 2 working genius types, are competent in another 2, and find the remaining 2 frustrating and draining. The 6 genius working types make up the acronym WIDGET. The W in WIDGET stands for wonder. People with the wonder genius type constantly spot new opportunities that others miss. For instance, if a team working for a YouTube creator is worried about the competition and declining viewership, the wonder genius in the group sees an opportunity to collaborate with the competition to boost the growth of the channel. The I in WIDGET stands for invention. The invention genius is great at crafting a plan to capitalize on an opportunity. In the YouTube example, an invention genius would take the collaboration idea from the wonder genius and begin outlining a new script for a video. The D in WIDGET stands for discernment. As a project plan emerges, the discernment genius springs into action with highly critical eye. They identify flaws and foresee risks that others miss. Back to the YouTube example, the discernment genius would see potential problems with YouTube collaboration video and suggest small tweaks to the script to maximize the video's effectiveness. The G in WIDGET stands for galvanizing. Once a project has been vetted and approved, the galvanizer genius gets team members excited and committed to the project. The galvanizer is your internal project salesperson who gets the right people on board and enthusiastic about the new project. The E in WIDGET stands for enablement. When a team gets to work, the enablement genius plays a central role in moving the team forward. They're great at spotting bottlenecks and devising smart ways to help out teammates and maintain team momentum. The T in WIDGET stands for tenacity. The tenacity genius comes to life when given a challenging task. Unlike the enablement genius, who thrives on watching a team succeed, the tenacity genius gets a rush from doing the work themselves. They excel at getting things done and getting the project to the finish line. Think of this WIDGET working genius type model like a sophisticated strength-based leadership tool. As a leader, you must assess each team member based on the 6 working genius types so you can maximize their engagement and contribution and minimize their frustration and burnout. Do this by creating a working genius map team.
Right, mouse
The working genius team map includes 6 intelligence.
Okay, so when I stopped the video, they were going to begin talking about the team map. And so here's ours. And like I said, we did the staff retreat. We went out of the office and we actually were outside at my house and we put all these papers all over the place and we figured out what people, after everyone read the book. So everyone had read the book, not cover to cover,
The important
but they got
parts.
the important parts. So this is the actual team map that we created during that retreat. Each person identified their areas of genius, competency, and frustration. Look at how this creates a visual representation of team strengths. You can immediately see where you have multiple people with the same genius. That's great for certain projects. You can also see where you might have gaps. So it's about understanding how to work together more effectively. When you know that your colleague's area of frustration is discernment, you don't ask them to evaluate whether a new program idea will work. You'll ask someone whose genius is discernment. As we'll discover later, this is being kind at work. So we'll talk about that nice versus kind. Now it's your turn. In your breakout groups, I want you to brainstorm your own genius areas and frustrations. Think about the people on your team and how they would fit into these categories. The key question is the last one. How would knowing this make your team more effective? So, does anyone want to share what your working geniuses and frustrations are and how you how this would make your team more effective and your workspace more effective.
Anybody
Feel free
have
to-
anything?
Who
I was
has
gonna
a
say, feel free
genius?
to type it in the chat, or you can also unmute yourself.
I'm a big D. Saying discernment. That's me. I think this is why this worked so well when we did this as a group, because when our conversation started, we immediately started saying, oh, that's you. That's you. I do that. So in a group, this really comes out and it's easy to make that map.
All right. So so we'll go back to the PowerPoint. When we were choosing a project, after creating our team map, we asked and discussed some important questions. So the first one was, what are our team strengths? And basically, as probably a lot of adult education teams, our team strength was enablement. So then what are our team gaps? And that was tenacity. How does this team map explain past failures and or successes of the team? So our successes, we decided, was when we transitioned to advances. That went pretty smoothly. We also all worked together when we had our monitoring visit. Right. So, so again, these are the questions that we had asked, and you can see that we wrote it on big poster board. And I was talking about that our successes were transitioning to advances, as some of you who are probably were still here remember that. Then monitoring, when last year we had a monitoring visit, and also our MSGs have come up a lot. Then our failures are retention, building partnerships, and marketing our programs. So the last question is there anything that we should do to adjust or reconsider about our next project or priority to maximize our effectiveness? And we decided that we needed more idea people. So those ones that wonder. And we need people to be responsible and carry out the project. So we needed more tenacity. That's where our gap is. So we need more of that. So this quote from one of our team members illustrates a major insight. Initially, we thought about assigning projects to individuals based on their geniuses. But then they realized that most projects actually need multiple types of genius to succeed. So I'm just going to read this quote that one of our team members said. The more I think about it, the more I think it shouldn't be just one person in charge of the marketing or the Facebook post, but rather a team of people. So if we put a galvanizer in charge of the Facebook post, they need to get an inventor and someone who is tenacious on their team to help create those things and help make sure that the projects get pushed through. Maybe we should have more teams in charge of projects rather than individuals. So this is why understanding your team's composition matters. You can build small project teams strategically. So our transitional studies team chose a specific project for the 24-25 program year. And our project was to change how others perceive our programs. This is something that many of us in adult education struggle with. We're often invisible in our institutions or misunderstood by the community. So we decided to toot our own horn and actively market our programs. We relied on our individual geniuses and competencies to enhance this effort. So the next slides show exactly how we tooted our own horn by sharing powerful student success stories. I tried to summarize each one of these stories, but I found that every part of their stories is important, so I'm going to read them to you. At 62 years old, Christina Stevens proves it's never too late to chase your dreams. After leaving high school her senior year to care for her family following her mother's passing, Christina devoted more than 40 years to raising 8 children and working to provide for them. At 61, after bravely beating stage 3 cancer, she made the life-changing decision to do something just for herself and enrolled in CCC&TI's high school equivalency program. Convinced it would take years to complete, Christina amazed herself by achieving her goal in less than 10 months. Now she is pursuing an Associate's in Arts teacher preparation degree at CCC&TI with hopes of inspiring future students to see that age is only a number when it comes to education. Christina's journey from teenage caregiver to cancer survivor to future educator is a powerful reminder that every chapter of life can hold new beginnings and that our dreams never come with an expiration date. So this was on our Facebook for the college. Christina comes by our program all the time still to tell us what's going on. And this has actually helped to be able to collaborate with the other side of the college with curriculum and the instructors in the curriculum department. So this was very successful for us, Christina's success story. Then this is Cora's success story. And Cora Shuford is an ABE student at Caldwell Community College and Technical Institute. Cora comes from a homeschooling background, and when she first joined our Transitional Studies program, she had many obstacles to overcome. She worked incredibly hard, showed up to every class, and her efforts paid off. She is now one test away from graduation, currently enrolled and excelling in our Nurse Aid Integrated Education and Training program, and plans on enrolling in curriculum classes in October. Cora has received a scholarship through the Caldwell Community College and Technical Institute's Foundation that paid for her nurse aid tuition. She has also received support from NC Works to help pay for the cost of her HSC tests and purchasing her class uniforms to participate in nurse aid clinicals. On top of that, Cora discovered a natural talent for writing. With encouragement from her teachers, she submitted a poem to our school magazine, Branches, that was accepted for publication in the 2024 edition. All of this happened in less than 1 year from her start date. When asked how the community college has impacted her life, Cora said, "It was and always will be the beginning of the story of my life." Her long-term plans are to become a registered nurse and work with hospice patients. Cora is a bright, shining example of the importance of adult education and how it can change the trajectory of one's life. Her instructors are extremely proud of her. This information was not put in, but Cora also had all of her, she didn't have any immunizations. So our TS Navigator worked with her and our foundation to pay to get all of her immunizations, which ended up being about, was it like $400 or $500?
Several
$100. So this was last year. I just actually saw Cora in the parking lot yesterday. She is doing fabulous. She's taking classes. So she did pass her last test and she is taking curriculum classes. This is her second semester of curriculum classes. So she's doing great. So we also created targeted recruiting content for specific programs. Go to the next. So let's play the video. Keep up with your so it's hard. Okay.
Are you ready to master the basics? Our Software Basics class covers everything you need to know. We'll dive into Microsoft Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and Google Drive in a supportive, beginner-friendly environment. No tech experience required. This course is designed for complete beginners, and you'll have help every step of the way. Call the number below for more information and to secure your spot. Take the first step toward digital confidence.
So that was advertised on all social media also. So again, we were just trying to get out there and show everyone what we do on a day-to-day basis. So changing the perception of others is really big. And if we go to the next one. So this image shows our collaboration with other programs in the college. These partnerships increase visibility and demonstrate that transitional studies is important to the institution's mission, not separate from it. So what we did was over last summer, we had a partnership with a physical therapy assistant program, and they worked with our cafe program, which is our career assistance for everyone. That is our IDD population. And they worked with them once a week. And I did want to say that we have 2 students that had life-changing discoveries thanks to this partnership. One gentleman who had severe gait issues due to cerebral palsy found that a weighted cane gave him normal walking gait. So it was interesting because I was sitting in my office doing my paperwork and I saw him walk by. Usually he is bent over and has a really hard time walking. He walked in with this weighted cane and was walking up straight. And it was just a huge success to see him. The other student also found pain relief and confidence in walking when the PTA team recommended a walker. And she also always had to hold somebody and couldn't walk anywhere alone. So she walked in, her mother actually purchased the walker, and now she walks in all by herself. Her mother's still with her, but she is not hanging on to her mother's arm. She is walking on her own. So that was really cool. And that's something that came out of us just trying to get the word out about our students and do collaboration with other parts of the college. Here's where we see the impact of some of our marketing efforts. Also, the Dean's newsletter highlighting our transitional studies accomplishments. So there was recognition for the correctional studies performance, and also the state recognition for student success. And this was Christina's success story that I had just read to you guys. So this is the kind of institutional recognition that leads to better funding, more support, and improved morale. So these are things that came up, and we were actually able to talk to the president about our funding issues when they kept saying, you have funding, no, you don't, you have it. So he knew more about our program from all of this marketing and all of these things that we were doing, and was more than willing to help with us. So some concrete results of our team project. We now have a regular relationship with the institutional marketing team. This means professional quality communications and consistent visibility. Instructors and staff feel more ownership and pride, and this is huge for retention and job satisfaction. Our enrollment increased and marketing works. The faculty senate president visited our department, and this kind of attention matters for advocacy and resource allocation. And advocating for students became more productive because other departments finally understood what we do. If you've ever felt like you're constantly explaining your program, you know how valuable this is. During our summer of uncertainty, as I mentioned before, the administration was very supportive, and that was because of that visibility. So these are some quotes from team members that reveal the personal growth alongside professional development. So I'm going to just highlight a few of them. One person said, be more open-minded to do things that I'm not good at. This is someone who realized that their self-perception might be limiting them. Another one was, we have the right people in the right places, sharing their God-given talents. So this reflects increased confidence in the team's composition. Another one was, I'm not alone in not understanding my strengths and weaknesses. And this shows the power of shared vulnerability. Many of us struggle to identify our own strengths. And that's when Julie was talking about, we were talking all together about it. We learned others' frustrations and not to give people jobs in their frustration areas. So this is practical wisdom that prevents burnout and resentment. So think about your own team and who might have hidden talents you haven't tapped into yet. So here's the fundamental principle. Our big takeaway is recognize strengths and empower individuals, which leads to team success. It's a simple formula, but implementation requires intention and consistency. And it means rethinking how you assign tasks, how you provide feedback, and how you structure projects.
Okay. Lee and Dan, I think we have just about used up our time, so I'm going to save the rest of the presentation for another time.
I mean, we got a minute or so for questions. So if anyone has any questions, please feel free to place them in the chat or unmute yourself and ask the ladies whatever you want to about this topic. Otherwise, we will thank you all for joining us this afternoon, bid you adieu, and perhaps we will be seeing you in January for the next session in this series. And it looks like we're getting a lot of thank yous, ladies. So we've got some appreciation.
Thank you.